What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. In this one, it is an impromptu Q&A, I guess you could say, because somebody asked us, what do we think about female Space Marines and the Misters of Battle? So, I already gave my stance on where I believe on female Space Marines, and just a quick update. I feel like the lore states very clearly that only a male can undergo the gene seed implantation process to become a Space Marine. However, the lore is very flexible and it changes over time. We've seen this multiple times, such as the Space Marines. They were supposed to be the pinnacle of creation with the help of Amar Astardi and the Emperor and the gene seed factories and everything. That was supposed to be the best warrior. However, that was improved upon from Belisarius' call. So this is a heretical stance, because like, how do you improve what the Emperor has already stated as perfection? But Call always stands on the line of, is it heretical or is it, technological innovation and whatnot? But that goes into a whole nother avenue of exploring what is and isn't correct to do in the Imperium, what the Emperor wanted and what he doesn't want and stuff like that. But before I go into that tangent, like I said, we've seen the lore change. The Exorcist chapter used to be a Space Marine chapter of blanks. They're now just not blanks and a successor chapter of the Imperial Fists, which kind of sucks. But hey, the lore changes and stuff like that. You can adapt and just keep on going. So with the whole female Space Marines thing, technically it shouldn't make sense. It shouldn't happen. But again, the lore could change. There could be the introduction of a Primarch that was female, and because of that, now we have female Space Marines that could be hidden within, the dark corners of the galaxy. So it is possible. And when you think about it, Space Marines, their armor hides anything feminine about them, especially when they're wearing their helmets. So you won't see a difference. Who's to say these Ultramarines aren't females unless you take off the helmet and actually see them, Now, speaking of armor, this goes to the whole Sisters of Battle / Misters of Battle thing. So when it comes to the Sisters of Battle, they are specifically female. Way back when, this is before the Reign of Blood, before Goj Vandire, there was a world of warrior women. And Goj Vandire liked them so much that he appointed them as to be his army, really. His bodyguards, his concubines, his personal army. And that's how the Sisters of Battle became a thing. They were the brides of the Emperor, is what he called them, and they were all about paying tribute and fighting for the Emperor. Now, Goj Vandire was not a good dude. He basically usurped the ecclesiarchy and he took control and he took power, and this was all because of the Emperor falling under Horus and being interred on the Golden Throne, and he declared himself to be the Emperor's mouthpiece. So basically whatever he said was what the Emperor was saying, and so humanity kind of followed him and gave him power and such. So he led a time called the Reign of Blood, where he was literally just killing entire worlds, entire populations of anybody that opposed him. And he had the help of the brides of the Emperor. Fast forward a little bit, and we have another religious man, Sebastian Thor, who wanted to basically take away the power from Goj Vandire because he declared him a false prophet. So he started accrediting an army. People were following him, and he was making his way slowly but surely towards Goj Vandire. And Vandire, heard about this, and he sent his own army to kind of stop him. But there was warp storms that only halted Vandire's forces. While the forces of Sebastian Thor gained more soldiers, more popularity, and was becoming stronger. Eventually they met head-on, and this is a pretty interesting take, because where Vandire had a bunch of support, it was waning, and eventually the Space Marines and the Sisters of Battle and the Astra Militarum were fighting to a standstill. That's pretty crazy to even think about. Space Marines, Astra Militarum, could not take out the brides of the Emperor, who were the Sisters of Battle. So it was a standstill for such a long time until the Custodes said, hey, we've had enough of this BS. Let's get the main leader of the Sisters, or I guess the brides of the Emperor, to go and see the Emperor himself. So Alicia Dominica went and talked to the Emperor face to face, which was like, this was the first time in history where the Custodes allowed anybody to enter in the chambers to see the Emperor. So it was a huge deal. And because of this, she found out the truth. She went up to Goj Vandire and she declared him a heretic. And Vandire was like, I'm too important, I'm too busy to die. And with that being said, shoot, he got beheaded. So with that, the sisters became a thing. Now, they didn't just outright become a thing just like that. There was a lot of ecclesiarchical and inquisitorial stuff going on where they declared that in order for this not to happen again, the military could not be used to gain power with the church. So the church was forbidden to hold men at arms. This is a very important phrase because this is the loophole that they used. Men at arms. So they couldn't have, you know, warriors of the Space Marines and a lot of Astra Militarum to be their military might. So, who's not a man at arms? The Sisters of Battle. And that's how the Sisters of Battle became the military might of the ecclesiarchy, and that's where they've held ever since, and they've grown from there. So, in order for the church to have a quote-unquote Misters of Battle, that goes against the entirety of the treaty and the laws and regulations placed upon the ecclesiarchy from like the High Lords and such. So there cannot be any Misters of Battle. And I think this will stay true until, like I said before, the Lord changes, where that treaty and regulations no longer holds true. But in order for this not to hold true, they would have to basically say, what happened with Goj Vandire? It could happen again. So that I don't see changing. So Sisters of Battle will stay Sisters of Battle. And the whole thing with female Space Marines may or may not be a thing in the future. If you don't like this, I could, see it because it goes against current lore. However, lore changes and we just have to abide by that. The thing about 40K is that it is told through scribes. You're hearing this through somebody else's perspective. And just with like greed, power, and how history is written in the view of the victor, that also changes what actually happened in the timeline of Warhammer 40K. So with that being said, guys, just take everything with a grain of salt. Just because something is outright stated as like, the Tau do not register in the warp, doesn't mean that in the later parts of the lore, something happens with the Tau and now they have a psychic signature. So, and if you don't like that, you don't have to abide by that rules. Just say these are the Tau before that happened. Or, for example, I'm making a female Primarch for my 2nd Legion lore. I've already crafted lore for the 11th Legion. Check it out for the Celestial Sons. There's a whole playlist there. And I'm now creating lore for the 2nd Legion, which has a female Primarch. So, if you guys are interested, check it out. If not, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about female Space Marines and the whole conversation, I guess you can call it, the whole discourse going on between whether it should be or shouldn't be a thing? And yeah, let me know down below. As always, it's Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.